Welcome to the Slice of Mentorship podcast. Today we're thrilled to have an incredibly accomplished guest, Hala Barakat. As the director for the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the American University in Cairo School of Business, Hala has been an instrumental figure in shaping Egypt's entrepreneurial landscape. With a rich career journey that spans from banking to textiles and even starting her own leather company, Hala brings a wealth of experience and insight. Following her entrepreneurial endeavors, she went on to pursue a higher education, and now she passionately guides and supports aspiring entrepreneurs through her role at AUC. So get ready to be inspired as we dive into Hala's remarkable story, her challenges, and the invaluable lessons she has gathered along the way. Stay tuned. Hi, Hala.
Hi, Igor. How are you?
I'm doing great. Super excited to have this conversation with you. My first question is, can you share a little bit about your journey and how you ended up at the American University in Cairo at the Center of Entrepreneurship and Innovation?
Okay. Thank you, Igor, for hosting me in your podcast. And to give a very quick background, I graduated from the American University in Cairo actually in 1998. I was major in business and minor economics. I started off my career in banking. I was working in a treasury department, one of the private banks in Egypt. Then it was too much of a macro economy for me. So after 8 years, I decided I want to live and experience the micro markets. So I quit the banking and I joined a family business that's working in textiles in Egypt. And I worked with them in the business development, and they were seeking to expand their operations and export internationally. And then in 5 years' time, I had an idea to start my own business. At that time, Egypt was opening up for imports, and we were opening up for the idea of retail and shopping malls. That was in 2004, 2005. So I was still young, so I thought that would be a great opportunity to start my own business. So I started my own business in leather products, and I had operation in producing and retailing leather products. I stayed in the business for 5 years, and then I had lots of issues. That was some time before the idea of entrepreneurship, the angel investments, the venture capital. All these terms was non-existing in the Egyptian markets. So I had very hard time to raise funds. I decided to liquidate the business and stop the operations. And then I went to continue my higher education, where I got the master's degree and worked on my PhD degree as well. And then I was working as a consultant for startups and ventures and founders. I mentored a lot, I consulted a lot. And then I joined my position here in early 2020. I stayed 1 month on campus, and then I was off to work from home for 2 years. And we are back on motion on campus for the past year, thank God.
Thank you. That's quite the story, for sure. So coming back to your current role, what exactly do you get paid to do at AUC?
So my role, to give you an idea, as you know, universities are structured into schools. So at AUC, we have the School of Business, one of the oldest schools on the university. And for anyone who wants to know, AUC is a 100 years old institution. So each school, they have research centers and units under it. So one of the research center is the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And I was hired to direct the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. This center was it started in 2010 as a program. So back then, entrepreneurship was very nascent in the market. So the program started as an entrepreneurship program in order to raise awareness of the idea of entrepreneurship and try to integrate entrepreneurship learning and knowledge, not only within AUC, but to the community. And in 2015, the center, the program became a full-fledged center by the Senate decision. And from 2015 till 2019, just before I joined, the center did not have this solid strategy because it was a program that they continue to do some like capacity building and programs. But I was hired so that we look into the 10 years of its establishment, a new direction, a new vision, a new strategy. What's the role of the center to play? So that was the main reason that I was hired for. And when I joined, there was only one staff member in the center. Now we are 9 on a full-time basis, and we have like 3 short-term research assistant students that works with us. But that was the main reason of me joining. They want a new strategy and a new direction for the center.
And what does your typical day look like, especially when you have students around?
Okay, so my typical day actually starts really early. I'm a very early riser. So I wake up early, I take my energizing drink of lemon and honey, and then after 1 hour I have my coffee, and then I took off to the gym. I spend like 45 minutes in the gym, and then I'm on my desk like around 9 a.m. in the morning. And once I start, and usually I tell them sometimes I come to office and I don't have time actually to open the laptops and literally work on documents. So I usually check because we are very dynamic. We have staff members coming in my office asking questions. They have challenges and problems, try to settle them. Students pass by checking what we are doing, how they can engage through one of the activities or work in the summer. And today in the morning, we just have a student just graduated and she's looking for a transition job to work during the summer. But it's always dynamic, and sometimes I don't have time to answer the emails unless there's urgency. I usually check them on my phone, attend meetings, Zooms. Sometimes the day is very, very cramped till I leave. Then I go home, I prepare dinner, we have dinner, and then I start open the laptops to work, to answer the emails, and like if I have a document to work on. But that's actually how my day is going.
Very cool, and thank you for giving that much texture and detail to the day. So you mentioned you have 9 full-time people, also 3 research students who are helping the center. So what is the programming that the center offers at this time?
Okay, so when I started my job here, I had to do like a very basic surveys and research to really look into what's the role the center should play, not only within the AUC community, but for the larger community as well. And as you know, the entrepreneurship is very dynamic. The entrepreneurship ecosystem is very dynamic. It's changing. For example, 5 years ago, the incubators, accelerators were very hyped and very in, and everyone wants to initiate their own incubators and accelerators. Now it's going into the downside a little bit, and there are new terms coming in. But I did a basic research of what the role of the center should be, so that I'm not replicating what's already in the market or inside AUC, and I'm really filling in the needs that at that time, the needs of the startups, the ventures, the founders. But actually, we're working on 4 main directions. So we are providing support for youth entrepreneurs or youth who wants to be entrepreneurs. through like capacity building programs, competitions, and hackathons, and a variety of activities that is focused for undergraduate students. The second component is that we have a gender-focused activities. So we provide training capacity building for Egyptian women entrepreneurs. Either they have an idea, they don't know how to take it further, or they have an already existing startups and they have issues with it, so we help them to sustain it and evolve it and grow it. The third component is mentorship. Last year, we became a certified MIT VMS sister program. So we have started our piloting in providing the MIT framework of the mentoring to Egyptian ventures and startups. The last thing is the small medium enterprises. So we provide capacity building to business development service units that serve SMEs in Egypt. So that's in the nutshell the four main directions that we are working on.
And in terms of team members, are they kind of separated into different programs, or are they kind of get to touch all of them as part of your center?
So actually, the way we are structured, I'm the director, and I have two associate directors. One of them is overlooking the youth and the women programs and initiatives. The other one is overlooking the mentoring and the SMEs. Under the women and the youth, there are two members in each working, sometimes on a full-time, sometimes they are complemented with a student. So they are the 4 team members, the 2 team members, one can be full-time and one can be student, or they can be 2 full-timers, depending on the cycles of the operations. The other part as well, it is we have one person overlooking the VMS and 2 other staff members working with SMEs. However, we have a weekly team, the centers meeting. So in that day, everyone presents what they have been working on, what's their challenges, so that they can share resources, they can share advices. Everybody knows what everybody else is doing, actually.
No, this is awesome, and it's cool to have a team that is so big. Like it's quite a few people working on this. So as you know, my passion is mentorship. So I wanted to learn more about your sister VMS program. And I'm curious how this idea to launch this program came about, because it looks like you mentioned you launched it pretty recently.
Yes. So when in 2020, when I did my research, I found out that mentorship in Egypt, the term is overutilized. So anyone just go on LinkedIn and have like a mentor for startups, and they sit with ventures and founders. And of course, these founders does not have the talent to assess if that person is a good mentor or not. Sometimes they dictate things on them. They put them in more pressure and more like difficulties. Also, on the other hand, I found out that unless the startup is a part of an incubator or accelerator, they will not have access to mentors, okay, formal mentors. Or unless if they have their own social networks, they will not have access to mentors as well. So I found that there is a need to provide mentoring services in a very secure and confidential environment to any startup in Egypt. And you don't have to be part of an incubator and accelerator to try to find a mentor or to seek advice. At the same time, you don't have to be from the elite community or connected to a different community in order to have a very good mentor. So I found that there is a very much need to have a structured mentoring program in Egypt. And I started to research about different entities worldwide that provide mentoring activities. Of course, I went through a lot of orientations and And I found lots of them are targeting corporates mainly, and lots of corporate mentorship or providing training for the staff to be mentors to newly hired, for example. But I found the MIT VMS was a very unique program. And by chance, if you know Endeavor is an international organization, and they support scale-ups in different countries, and they have offices in many countries around the world. So the MIT VMS director has visited Endeavor Egypt. They were looking into having the VMS in Egypt, and the director of Endeavor Egypt has sent a message to the dean of the school asking if AUC would be interested to host such a program. And the dean put me in contact with the VMS. At the same time, I was working on a concept note on the idea that I shared with the dean. A concept note that we need to have the idea of establishing a mentoring program. So it came by coincidence that they all coincide at the same time. So he told me, now you have a program. But that's how it started. And then it was very, as you know, the VMS and the MIT is very expensive university and program. And being a nonprofit organization, we have to raise funds for our program. So I had a proposal with a budget that is ready. The dean, of course, had an interest from IFC, the World Bank Group, to support an initiative from the school at that time. So we provided them with the list of initiatives, but they have chosen to support the MIT VMS in the first year of its establishment. So it was it took very long time to reach this tripartite contract, because 3 bureaucratic institutions are involved: the IFC, the MIT, and the AUC. But it took some time to bring the 3 entities to agree on the best legal structure of so that IFC would pay the MIT for us to get the capacity building and establish the program at the center.
I love how you get into all those bureaucratic details, because these are the things that show how things work in real life. And I appreciate you sharing how those things actually happen. So MIT model, in essence, is team mentorship with strong confidentiality and a strong program office that oversees all aspects of the program. But I know a lot of sister programs come up with their flavors. Have you figured out the flavor that works for you in Egypt at AUC?
I think that's the secret sauce of the MIT VMS, so that they give you certain things that you cannot let go, like the confidentiality, the NDAs, the disclaimers, the team mentoring, that is the core of their uniqueness. But at the same time, they are very flexible for you to adapt the structure in your different countries. So different countries have different volunteer leadership structure to suit not only the country, but the organization that is hosting the program. So for us, of course, it was very, for us to start, we took the training, as a leadership team, me and my colleague, we took the training from the MIT, and we wanted to onboard mentors to be the initial cohort of the mentors to take the MIT training. So IFC was very generous in order for them to pay for the initial cohort of mentors to take the training directly from MIT. So in order for us to set up the criteria and select 10 mentors from the ecosystem, required us to establish an advisory board for the program. So we established an advisory board consisting of the dean of the school, the associate dean, myself, a member from the IFC, and we onboarded 2 from the advisory board. The dean of the school has an advisory board. So we nominated 2 from the advisory board of the school to sit on the advisory board of the program. And this advisory board nominated word of mouth certain individuals to be the first batch of the mentorship And then we called them core mentors. So our core mentors are mentors that was first trained by the MIT, and the core mentors are now the one who are implementing the pilot phase, so that we trust them, we know them, we listen to their feedback, so that we adapt as we go. To come to adaptation, once we had the core mentoring, as a leadership team, we are two individuals now looking at the program. Actually, we had someone else helping us from the center as well. So we are 3 now. But we wanted also to come back to the advisory board on some logistics and operation. But the advisory board members that we have are very, very busy people. So we couldn't get a grasp from their time. But what we did is that we have chosen 3 from the core mentors, and we named them founding mentors. Wow. And they became like the mentors that we check on with them every couple of months. We meet with them, tell them the challenges, take their insight, what we should do on that, what we should do. So we have advisory board, founding mentors, and the core mentors. And then we will have the mentors back moving forward after we are done with the pilot phase.
This sounds like a very unique structure. I haven't heard of anything just yet. And you mentioned you are still in the pilot. So how big is your program now? How many mentors, how many ventures have you got?
Now we have 32 mentors. Those are mentors who were initially trained by the MIT, and we onboarded more to them. And we have now 15 ventures. So we know we have to always keep the balance of at least 50% balance between the mentors and the ventures, so that we ensure in every mentoring session we have at least 2 mentors. But that's how big. Now, each and every one of these mentors at least sat in one mentoring session, and at least we have conducted one mentor session for the venture. So we are end of June, we will be finalizing our pilot phase, and we will recap on the structure, the criteria of the venture selection, because at the beginning we were not very clear. Shall we put any criteria for the ventures? Whom should we serve? But the pilot actually was very eye-opening. So we have now a know-how of what would be the criteria that we will set for the program moving forward, and for the mentors as well. So we will, during the summer, we will revisit all our criteria, documentation, and then we will launch the official application for mentors and ventures, maybe next September or October.
I'm curious, you mentioned it was eye-opening. So what were the biggest insights from the pilot?
For example, one of the biggest insights is that a lot of the mentors, they do not wish to be lead mentors. Okay, and we face lots of challenge for mentors to be a lead mentor, because they have maybe a misperception that this means much work on them and time commitment. So we have to be very clear on what the lead mentor, and check what are the role of the lead mentors, that we as an executive team can take it from them, so that they are not faced with pretty much obligation. And the other thing is that we found that lots of scale-ups in the venture, from the venture side, they're not very much interested in mentoring, because they are now open to international markets. They're now in Saudi Arabia. They meet mentors from all over the world, and they have the chance and the opportunity to sit with different mentors, because they are in a different level. So we have decided that moving forward, we will serve only startups, any early stage startups.
And in terms of the scope or the reach of the program, are you focused just on startups and mentors affiliated with the university, or are you covering the whole of Egypt?
No, we are covering the whole of Egypt. We're covering the whole of Egypt, including, of course, the community at AUC, but we are covering Egypt at large.
In terms of success of mentorship, so your program has been around for almost a year. So have any success stories emerged from the program already?
Not success stories, but we have like positive testimonials from ventures that they really like the structure, how they have to sit with different individuals with different perspectives. Also, the mentors, we have listened to lots of, they get to know each other. They are happy to get connected with other executives from different backgrounds. But it's not success, but it's like some testimonial that we are capturing from the sessions.
Very cool. I know that MIT model kind of involves getting mentors together and having like breakfasts or lunches where mentors build connections with each other. Do you do something like that? And do you do something similar for founders?
Actually, that is the plan. Yeah. Just yesterday, I was just putting the events agenda after the summer. So we are planning to do our first founding mentor meeting first to set how, and then we will do a mentor meeting or luncheon or breakfast, bringing the mentors that worked with us in the pilot and tell them about the way forward. And we will have an advisory board meeting maybe next October. So it will be like September, October, and November, for example. Then we will launch the official launch of the program.
Very cool, because I know like in our program that I was running, it was easy to get mentors. It was harder to get the founders together. Not that they didn't want that, but it's just for them, it's hard to justify the time investment. When they do make that investment, they enjoy it. But selling it to them has been hard.
We had a couple of scale-ups. They attended like a couple of sessions, but we didn't get many. They were not, they're fine, but they didn't wish to continue further. We didn't see like very positive feedback. However, from the early stage startup, they really liked the idea. They really like the advice because they're in the very early stages. But the scale-ups, they do have other opportunities. They are everywhere. They are connected. They go to the events. Everybody knows them. Everybody actually is offering their mentoring and their consultancy for them. But they don't have the capacity to take the program.
What I found is having a few scale-ups or organizations that popular is good for the brand of the program, and then you can attract like other folks.
That's true actually, but I fully agree, and that was the reason why we want to attract these names. But I think we'll play it the hard way. We'll play it like we'll take the startup, we'll work with them. Maybe after 1 year, 2 years, we'll have them as big names, and then that would be a proof to the program, and it's like sustainability and continuation. But to take them from now, we have a good number of scale-ups, and some of them attended the sessions. They don't have an intention to continue. For example, they are onboarded, they are part of the program. We can announce that they are one of the portfolio companies, but I'm not able to help them. So it's branding, but it's not a real impact branding. Real impact branding, I think, will appear like 2 years from now.
And that makes sense. And thank you for sharing that perspective. And I agree 100% with you. In terms of early stage startups, how early is too early for your program?
We have one that she has been in the market for 2 years. So that's the earliest. And we don't have like idea stage. No, it's not. They have to have an existing operational startup that's working. So the minimum that we have is 2 years.
And should the founder work full time on the business or in the business?
The founder should be working full time. The founder should be the one who's attending. Otherwise, we do not take the session if the founder or the co-founder attends the session. We don't accept a director or a chairman or whatever. We made sure that the founder themselves attend the sessions.
I'm curious in terms of other lessons you've learned? You mentioned one about lead mentors. So what other lessons have you learned from the pilot, and what advice do you have for new centers who are planning to launch a team mentorship program?
It's very challenging for the scheduling to bring mentors together and to agree with the venture timing as well. But the lessons learned is that, of course, we look into the ventures and what the venture, the founder wants, and learn from the experience. But our strength is in our mentors. So most of the mentors are very great calibers, very high executives. They're volunteering their time to sit. We cannot jeopardize our relationship with the mentors. Founders are very important to try to accommodate them as much as we can, but we will not tolerate things like being late, changing last minute. But that is the message that we will relate, so that it's a highly committed program. As you know, the mentors are volunteer, and we're providing the service for the venture with no fees. But the least that you can do is that to respect your time, respect your mentors, respect the documentation that's asked from you. But that's a very important learning.
And in terms of logistics of implementing these learnings, how would you do that, or how would you suggest the program would do that?
Actually, it's very hard. And now we are using spreadsheet.com for just putting the database, the names in the profiles, the resumes, the bios, the venture sheet. And we try as much as we can to have standard sheets for everything, plus what we have received from MIT. So we have initiated our own standard sheets that we send to the mentors to fill in and to the venture to fill in information, so that we have this on standard format. And we use Doodle for scheduling, and we use if it's a Zoom meeting. But we don't think, of course, that that's the ultimate way of doing it. It's a very, very administratively and logistically, it's very hard to keep track, and it requires a person with a very specific skills. So fortunately, we have someone very skillful in. She's an engineer. She's very skillful on project management. Otherwise, it would have been messed up. And the follow up after the sessions, sending the feedbacks and monitoring, because IFC have set us certain indicators that we should report on. So monitoring all this through the feedback surveys and reporting the indicators to the IFC, it is very hard work actually. And we try to find some softwares that solve all this for us, but not once at a time, and you want to take it step by step.
Sure, and we've started the conversation about Traction 5, and I'm looking forward to exploring that further, because our tool exactly works on everything you mentioned. But I'm curious specifically about enforcing those rules that you mentioned, in terms of making sure founders are coming to sessions, in terms of they are coming on time, they're coming prepared, they respond to emails. Do you have, or are you thinking of a process to make it happen, or setting the right expectations from the start from founders who join the program?
I didn't get your question fully.
Yeah, let me explain. What I found is working on expectations up front when people join, and being very specific, asking them to sign a separate paper. We did a one-pager which said, I commit to responding to emails from the program within 48 hours. I commit to show up on time. I commit to do X, Y, Z. And then holding them to that standard really helped, versus hoping that they would do it. So I was curious, are you thinking of something similar when you mentioned that you would kind of enforce rules from the founders?
Actually, we do have this. It's one of the MIT documents that the ventures sign on. It's rules and regulations of the program. But actually, we do have this, and they do sign this. I'm not sure if they read it or not, but at least they sign it, because we do not onboard any mentor or venture unless we have the signed documents. What we do is that we send reminders. Here in Egypt, we have the culture of WhatsApps, like phone calls. We do all this. We send emails. We remind them on WhatsApp. Sometimes we have to call up someone to remind them. But actually, we do this whole strategy in order to ensure their commitment.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this response. In terms of like zooming out a little bit out of the mentorship program and looking at the bigger picture of supporting the startup ecosystem. So now you have a mentorship program, you have a number of very qualified volunteers as well as companies. How does this like bigger or existing entity fit into the ecosystem at the university and in the broader startup community?
The only mentoring program in the university that provides mentoring for ventures, we have a university-based accelerator, but they have the traditional one-to-one mentoring that they provide to their startups. We have at the university something called LMP, Leadership Mentoring Program, and it's meant to connect current students with alumni and professors. So students can seek this program to seek mentor either academically or professionally through the alumni network. At the bigger picture in the ecosystem, as I said, startups get mentoring if they are part of incubators, accelerators, if they are socially connected, so they have mentors. Most of the mentors in the ecosystem are angel investors. And they are in the mentorship field because they are scouting for startups to invest in. The VMS is doing the opposite. So we were very sure that the core mentors that we are onboarded, we're very clear that you cannot invest in the startup, otherwise you have to come back to us if you do have this interest. But this was very unique to the Egyptian ecosystem. We have other mentoring program. If you heard about the VC4A, VC for Africa, it's a venture capital for Africa, but they give training for mentors in order to be investors. So it's the opposite. They give you mentorship so that you understand more about the ecosystem, so that when you mentor one of their portfolio with the objective of investing in the VC portfolio, it's completely the other side. And like mentoring is very, as I said, there's no any structured program, and even the VC for Africa is very, it's not strong, because at the end of the day, their objective is investment and not mentoring. It's part of what they do, and it's 1 week training.
So it looks like you're filling a very unique niche.
Yes.
In the community.
It will take some time to get in place, to get known, to grow. We're taking it one step at a time.
Thank you. I have just another questions about you specifically, and this is what I was told by one of the people I was interviewing for this. He said the answer will give you a lot of information about the person. So what book are you reading right now?
Actually, I'm reading something about the Euro-Mediterranean regional security. But it's not because of, it's not my interest, but it's one of research topics that I've been asked to look at with Cairo University. That's why I'm reading it.
So in addition to running the center, you have to do some additional research, it looks like.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And given you mentioned at the beginning, we start with your day, and it started very early and it's very hectic. but do you get to have any free time, and how do you spend it? What do you do?
Now, my dog is not a free time. The dog is part of my life. It's not a free time, but it fills in the whole day. I visit my parents mainly. I try to spend time. I have one daughter studying in the Netherlands, and the other one is still in school here. I tend to make any activity together. Of course, she's a teenager. She doesn't want to do activity with me. Nothing else. Yeah, I love cooking, so I cook a lot. I love baking.
Oh, very cool. Thank you for sharing. And I figured out there's things I might not have asked you, but something you wanted to talk about. Is there anything like that?
Maybe the prospects for the future. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's talk about this. So it looks like you are at the beginning of the journey with the mentorship program, and you're pretty early with the entrepreneurial, with the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So what are your plans for the next 12 months? What are you hoping to accomplish in the next year?
For me, looking forward, because as you know, when I joined the center, there was one person. Now we are, we say overall 12. And it's very hard because when I started off, there was actually no activities, much like grounded. But I was working really hard to establish the center with activities, maintaining and sustaining its sources of funds, because as you know, all this is based on raising funds. It's my role to raise the funds and hire people. But now, and even that's what I usually tell my colleagues, it's very hard for the role to change. And before, I used to do the proposals, I write the proposal myself, write the budget myself, follow up everything on my own. But when you are transitioning now, so you have to let go, delegate things. You have to be patient as well with the staff, because, sometimes writing proposal, yes, I can sit and write the proposal, but I prevent myself from writing because I want them to learn and I want them to do it themselves. And it's easy for me to sit and do it. And most probably it will not take as much time because they will do it, they bring it to me, I review it, there'll be a lot of edits and get back to them. But it's very transitional. So what I want to do is maintain and try to delegate and live forward. It is I'm taking it, I don't want to open up to you. There are lots of opportunities for more things to be done, but I think it's the time for grounding what's already in place, like supporting and strengthening the performance of the staff members so that we head into another phase, but maybe not the coming year.
So if I understand correctly, what you are saying, you've been able to be in the startup mode where you're figuring things out, and now you're you're building a system that will be like working on this, and then you can take it to the next.
Exactly, working on its own as well, because I believe that it's not the person who manage things, but I wanted to make sure if I'm not in the equation, the center will be operating and running whatever I have built in place. Okay, to institutionalize these activities so that I'm here, I'm not here, I left, I resigned, or whatever. These activities will keep on running and sustaining in the future.
So essentially, you continue your entrepreneurial journey. It looks like you have to raise funds, you have to build systems and serve different stakeholders.
I hope I can I'm raising investment through a VC later on.
Thank you so much, Hala, for your time and for this conversation.
Thank you, Igor, so much for hosting me in the podcast. It has been a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up this enriching conversation, I want to express my sincere gratitude to Hala for gracing us with her presence and sharing her incredible journey and insights. Her unwavering commitment to fostering entrepreneurship and innovation, coupled with inspiring career transitions truly sets an exemplary path for aspiring entrepreneurs and innovators. Before we conclude, I wanted to mention the company I represent, Traction 5. Traction 5 is a team mentorship solution that aims to spark innovation. Our SaaS platform is meticulously designed to streamline mentorship programs, cultivate engaging experiences, and expedite the achievement of concrete outcomes. So, until we connect again in the next episode, continue to nurture your curiosity, remain inspired, and perpetually stoke the flames of innovation. Take care.